So I'll admit the audio in this video is a little bit crunchy. It's a little bit crunchy because this was from a live stream I did on TikTok. It was on my phone and it was a hot day. Had the AC on, had the fan on, everything. I did my best to make it well, but I really still wanted to share this because I think that the lessons that I shared in this mindset reset preview are really, really powerful. And so I hope that you enjoy, and I'm just gonna take you straight inside of the video.
How do I feel supported by these people and by these communities and these groups? Because knowing that is going to help you build more of that. So if you know that, for example, I'm of the people that I feel most supported by, really listen to what I am saying first and then apply their recommendations or suggestions. Like when I'm looking for feedback, they ground it in me. And it might seem like a really silly thing to say, like, of course they're gonna give you advice based on you, but it is really, really common to have people give you feedback, advice, recommendation, and it's based on their own experiences and not based on what you have shared. And I would say that's probably a skill that we develop over time. So, like, what about this individual group or these people makes you feel supported so that you know exactly what you're looking for in future support and future connection? Then you can think about how can I create or foster or find more connection in my language learning life? Those stem from the first two questions. So in answer question 1 and 2, question 3 is going to naturally fall into place. But you know what you're looking for. You know that I need a group that's really, really passionate about multiple languages, not just passionate about one specific language or maybe specific identity subgroups. Like I need to be surrounded by other introverts because they get this whole peopling struggle that we're dealing with right now. Or maybe it's something else entirely. And so I want you to pause here. If you go through all of these questions on your own, again, 5 minutes is what I want you to give yourself and think through what are these answers, because this is going to help you to find the ultimate solution for your connection or the connection that you're trying to build between you and fellow learners and native speakers of the languages that you're learning. Next one, which is wellness. And like I said, this is the area that I know I want to and need to focus on, or I should rephrase that and say, this is the area that I get to focus on. And so when I say wellness, I'm thinking about prioritizing energy replenishing activities, self care to help us manage stress beyond our language studies so that we can balance our energy levels throughout the week. And I said week rather than day because sometimes it's just a rough day and we just can't do it. That's also why my minimum, my level of good for frequency is always 3 days a week. And my level of best for frequency, meaning the number of times I do my language studies in general, is 5. I never do more than 5 days a week except during a sprint. And those sprints are very focused, specific, and small windows of the overall time that I'm expecting for myself. So if you're focused on wellness like me, here are 3 questions that I want you to ask yourself. You can pause after each one or pause after the final one. So the first one is, what are some mindfulness habits or energy replenishing activities that actually make a difference for me? What are some things that you have done before in the past? And if you're not sure, what are some mindfulness habits or energy replenishing activities that you have thought about doing that have made you excited to try? You're like, oh, maybe I could do this or maybe I could do that. Like, what is it on your possibility list? The next question is, how can I be kinder and more supportive to my mind, my body, and my spirit? Now, I put all 3 here because they all impact us in many different ways. And I know many people who tend to work with me are also equally perfectionists. And we need to practice being more kind to ourselves and more supportive to ourselves, to our minds, our bodies, and our spirit. Like we can be kind to our mind and our mindset and the way that we think about ourselves and what we're doing, but also how we're being kind to our body. Are we giving ourselves rest? Are we making rest a reward for doing work? Because rest should never be a reward. It's a requirement. And I'm saying this to myself as well, because I literally have to repeat this to myself. Like rest is not a reward. It's a requirement. You are allowed to rest simply for the sake of resting, just in the same way that no is a complete sentence. And if you're setting a boundary and saying no, no is no. And finally, for our third question, what is one negative or energy draining outlet that I can do less of or step away from? So what is something that you currently do in your language studies in your life that drains your energy or that
is a little bit more negative, is it something that you can step away from entirely? Or is it something that you can just do less of? And how can you do less of that? And this is brainstorming. This is not a let's make an action plan quite yet. So even if you're not sure if the idea is going to work, write it down, write all of them down again.